Welcome to the Small Business Matters podcast, where we talk to business experts and go beyond the trends to find out what's working for small businesses on Main Street and online. Now, let's get down to Main Street. Welcome back to the Small Business Matters podcast. I'm so thrilled about today's guest and what we're going to be talking about. The first time I met Pam Didner, I just listened to her talk about AI at the B2B Exchange conference in Scottsdale, Arizona, just prior to the pandemic. That was just over 4 years ago, and a lot has changed. OpenAI with ChatGPT, Claude, and Google Gemini, and other popular AI tools are now considered mainstream. Pam is a powerhouse in the marketing world. She's not just a marketing expert, she's a problem solver, a digital enthusiast, and a lover of all things tech. With a rich background in B2B marketing, Pam is a much sought-after keynote speaker and trainer for B2B marketing teams. She's the host of a popular podcast, B2B Marketing and More, where she dives into marketing strategies and trends that shape modern business. Pam's also the acclaimed author of 3 insightful books, Effective Sales Enablement, The Modern AI Marketer, and Global Content Marketing. Each book is a treasure trove of knowledge, offering practical advice and cutting-edge strategies for marketers everywhere. Pam, welcome to the Small Business Matters podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Gary. I love your voice. It's so soothing. I mean, I was listening to it. I was like, oh my God, it makes me relax. And on the other hand, my voice, it just have this it's like a bulldozer. I tend to overwhelm people.
Oh, well, that's very nice of you to say, and I wouldn't say that about you because as I've seen you present, I mean you're just a really great communicator and also consistent content creator, and I think that's really what it's about in our game, is always being out there with insightful information, helpful information. Now, you've been in marketing for quite some time. What sparked your interest in AI, and how did you start integrating it into your marketing strategy?
That's actually a great question. And I think the first time I heard about AI was back in 1997, long time ago. It's basically when IBM has this machine called Deep Blue. I think you probably know that, and is kind of like a chess machine that actually be the human chess master. I don't know his name, Gary Kasparova. I think that's the Remember? So they actually have multiple different games, I think in 1996 and 1997. And of course, machine did a fantastic job. And I was like, oh my God, one day, this machine is going to do a whole lot more. I don't know what that is, but it's going to happen. So that's how it got started. And to answer your question, the second question, how did I start integrating it into, say, overall marketing strategies or implementation? Just like you said earlier, in November 2022, OpenAI launched ChatGPT. That literally just took the world by storm. I think a lot of us are using ChatGPT to get our questions answered, and also find a way to leverage that to make our marketing a little easier. For example, writing email or ideate with AI about some of the campaign ideas. So when you ask AIs about questions, because they search the whole internet, it tends to give you its best answer. It may not be right 100% at the time, but it helps tremendously when it provides just one tailored answer to you.
Yes, I agree. And I've been dabbling myself. I mean, I started using ChatGPT, actually using Jasper, which was Jarvis before then. Yeah, so I'm a little old school. I got dabbling in Jarvis and Jasper, and introduced it around the business, and then people were like, "Oh, this is really interesting. This saves us some productivity." But being I'm a writer. I like to write my own content. I've been kind of in two worlds, since it's come out. and it's good for the ideation side of things, I think. It really helps me with some subject lines. You can test different subject lines and titles and optimizing blog posts. But I'm literally setting some own personal limits. What are some common misperceptions about AI that small businesses should be aware of?
So there are several things I want to share with everyone. The artificial intelligence obviously is artificial intelligence, and it is trained because it was trained by human feeding massive amount of data to it. So they only know what they know, kind of like humans. We only know what we know, right? So they only know what it was trained for. So the data sets that feed into AI is very, very important. And you have to understand it also have a bias like us. And not every single answer provided by AI is what I call perfect. And you need to have a point of view. So AI has a bias. You need to have a point of view to know that, you can gauge the answer they provided. And the last one is AI doesn't know your business. You do. And you need to make sure that when you use AI, you don't use it blindly and have a point of view about it, and then know that what to take, what not to take. It's kind of like what you said, Gary. You are a writer, so you've been writing for a long period of time, and you know what good writing is. You also know what writing is more kind of like a business writing. You also know when you write for your clients, what clicks, what make your target audience clicks or not click. And having that point of view is very, very important. When you say you set boundaries, I think what you meant is you have a specific point of view. Like when AI writes something, you will look at it and say, I don't think so. Right. And you modify, you edit it as you see fit. And I
Yeah.
think that is the mindset you need to have when you work with AI.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Put your own fingerprints on your work. And someone that really uses AI, I've seen use AI in a smart way, is Scott Galloway for his newsletter.
Oh,
He has
really?
a great newsletter that he does on the weekends. No Mercy, No Malice, and sometimes he'll get into a bit of storytelling in that. He did one on AI, but he actually talked about the Luddites and destroying weaving machines because they thought that was going to put all of the textile workers out of business back in the day. But he'll start with that story and do the research on the Luddites and then weave that into what he wants to say about AI.
Yeah. Very nice. And the AI cannot do that for you. If AI want to write the opening, and it's just probably write a very common opening or very business-like opening, but there's no personal touch to it.
Yeah.
You core.
So the title of your book, The Modern AI Marketer, suggests a transformative approach to marketing. Can you share a pivotal moment when you realized AI was going to change the game for marketers?
That's a great point. First of all, the book was written before ChatGPT became popular. So it was written in 2019. It's a bit dated, and I'm in the process rewriting it. And I think when I realized it really have impact on marketing is I was looking at how Amazon and or how Google actually use AI. So way back then, like, I would say in 2015, 2016, or even earlier, that the using algorithm to provide personalized recommendation like Amazon does all the time, right? You purchase this, therefore you might be interested in that. And you watch these films, therefore you might be interested in that. I think things got me interested was way back in terms of recommendation, and also in terms of how Google continuously optimize its search that will try to anticipate that the phrases that you will say when you type into a Google search. That's also kind of like artificial intelligence in training, but that's more kind of enterprise usage, and that was not widely available to consumers or users, common users like us. And of course, the OpenAI ChatGPT opened that door for everyone.
Yeah. Now, data plays a crucial role in AI, and the old
Massive
saying, "Garbage in, garbage out." How
job,
can
yeah.
how can a small business ensure that they're collecting and utilizing data effectively to feed their AI tools and get the best results? Because it's gone beyond just putting a text prompt. You can put spreadsheets of data in there now and have it analyze. And what should a small business owner be thinking of there in terms of data?
I think this is a problem, honestly, that every single business encounter is not just small businesses. Yeah, if you can take a spreadsheet's worth of information and then upload it to an AI application and have them do analysis for you, fantastic. Or even write a summary of that analysis. Or you can just get a bunch of data and dump into AI and ask specific questions, have them do analysis. From my perspective, the most important thing is you need to make sure that your data is clean. And this is an issue that every single marketer encounter, including myself. I have I encourage people to subscribe to my newsletters. However, how often do I clean that newsletter database? How often do I enrich that database with the latest information that can be associated with the people that subscribe to my newsletter? I think the most important thing for any businesses, including small businesses, is if you have a limited amount of data sets and it can be captured in Excel or in database, and you use AI to do further analysis. Everybody can do that. But how do you make sure that data set or that quality of data is being kept up to date? That would be something that we all have to take into consideration if you want to use AI for further analysis. But me included, honestly, I'm just using myself as an example. I'm not doing a very good job of that. So that's something that I think moving forward will be faced by every single business.
Yeah. Well, and I think also when it comes to personalizing campaigns, if you've been diligent and disciplined about, like you said, appending data to your email list and just getting whether it's male or female followers or subscribers, and doing, you wouldn't do, a clothing or a fashion type of story or promotion to males, if it's women's fashion. So yeah, so it's a great point, and also I think because third-party cookies are going to be going away or being phased out, I think the marketers themselves really have to take some responsibility in gathering that information on the front end. Would you agree?
Yes, I do. In fact, when you mentioned about cookie, at that time I was thinking I want to talk about first party data. So you brought a very, very good point. And just for all of you watching or listening, obviously the first party data is the data you collect yourself directly from users in a very simple term. And not just with not just with cookie going away, like Gary indicated, is your ability to collect the first party information directly from user. And you always have to make assumption that your user are going to give you kind of like more accurate information. But do you know how many times when I look at the information, I know it's the user just doesn't want me to know his or her first name. They just attach the last name and leave the first name field empty. And then with that being said, when you gather that information, there's already one field of information missing. And the question is, what can you do as a marketer to gather that piece of information? Moving forward, a lot of information that we're going to gather from our customers, you have to earn it. They want to get something in order to give you something. That's assumed they want to give, right? So what are you going to do to get that information? And hopefully the information they provide to you as a first party data is also accurate. And I think that would be the challenge that the marketers will encounter in the future, which is just like you indicated. And with that being said, we have to work harder. When I say harder, it's like, it's like we work in longer hours. That's not the point. It's working harder in terms of like, we have to think, how can we get that information, but at the same time, that is not intrusive to our user and provide the information or relevant information that they need. And there's a fine balance. I think every single marketers is going to deal with that in the future, me included.
So AI can help all kinds of small businesses, or can it? If my business was a typewriter repair shop,
Yeah.
I'm sure Anne Handley would be raising her hand to do do business with that person. But perhaps a hair salon. Can AI still help these kinds of businesses to grow?
I think so. And let's think about it. If you are small businesses and say you are a typewriter repair shop or even you are a hair salon, and you have to think through in terms of what kind of customer experience you want to provide to your customers. That's assumed that you don't have the website, and everybody comes to you is still word of mouth, and you don't have a digital presence, but your business is booming. That's just because everybody love you. And then everything is manual, right? The whole process is manual, and the communication tend to be in person. So you have to think through in terms of how you communicate with your audience, and also how you get your name out. Once you understand that process, it doesn't matter is manual or it doesn't matter is digital. You have a solid understanding how that works, and then you can determine how AI can help you. Is that helpful? I'm not answering your question directly, more or less like understand how your business works. Once you identify that process and you can articulate that very clearly, then you can see like how AI can help you. That's number one. Number two, I do actually have a doctor that I go on regular basis, and and I have a minor skin problem, so it's dermatologist. And for this specific doctor, is obviously a small business and serve the local area, and it's one doctor and the one receptionist, and the receptionist serves as a nurse as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually a fairly decent sized business. He has a lot of patients, but there's only two people. That's it. From my perspective, that's amazing, and he got the process down. So when our communication is always through text, right? It's like the appointment confirmations through text, and then appointment reminders through text. Even his like instruction, like what kind of ointment I should use and where to get it and how the frequency of it, it's through text. And so I can tell that everything is very digital for him. But it's very interesting that when I respond like appointment, like say, oh yes, I'll come tomorrow. I will, yes. But there's a 3 standard email. Honestly, 3 standard email that you send it to everybody. But he can obviously use AI to personalize that if he chooses to, because he's already have a process workflow built up. Now he just have to source possibly another tool or looking at the tools that he's using right now and see if there's an AI feature that he can turn down, right? So look at your workflow and look at what you do and then determine how you want to use AI to help. And the best way to do is looking at your existing tools and see if they have AI features associated with it, and then leverage that as much as you can as a starting point.
Very good. So you've been following AI for some time. What's been the most surprising development for marketing or marketing use case that you've seen?
It's actually not necessarily. So I want to share with you, it's not necessarily a marketing case study. And sorry, this is not like a marketing case study. But I thought when I read this specific article, I was like completely in awe. So Microsoft has this AI tool. Okay, well, actually, many enterprises they do. They work with other enterprises. So, like the lithium batteries and the materials of building the battery and is limited. And for the enterprises and a lot of scientists are thinking about finding a new materials for the lithium battery. But according to the Microsoft AI tool, there are 30 million, like, theoretical materials that can be used or substitute. But if you think about it, because there are 30 millions, if just a human has to go through that, it's going to take months and years. So Microsoft AI tool was able to actually narrow the 30 million materials option to 18 in just 80 hours. And I was like, whoa, this is amazing.
That's incredible.
And I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. This is, to me, from my perspective, like AI at the best light. And so that is something from my perspective that caught me by surprise in terms of how far AI can do for scientific research. And I personally think if we use AI or predictive model correctly and feed them with a high quality data set, what marketing can do is really can really dial up that personalization type of communication with our prospects. And I think that's probably the ultimate nirvana all the marketers would like to accomplish. But it still requires a lot of work at our end.
So you're a prolific content creator in your marketing business. How are you using AI to maintain such high visibility for your consultancy?
Before I answer that question, let me ask you a question. How do you use AI to maintain such a high visibility for your content creation? What do you do?
Yeah, well, I can share that I come up with ideas for blog posts. I look at topics that we've written about, and we do a gap analysis on competitors to see what our competitors have written about, where we may have got some gaps there. I use it for outlines for talks that I'm going to give. I can whip up an outline for podcast. I mean, if I were to be completely honest, this podcast that we're doing here, I fed your bio into it and I asked it, what are some questions that would be good to ask Pam? And I've done this with other guests on the show, and I know it's. I just want to make sure that we have a good interview and we ask some substantive questions, versus softballs, So those are some of the things I've been using. Yeah.
I love it. So we follow kind of similar paths. And I use ChatGPT or even Gemini or Copilot. I use all sorts of, say, the AI chatbots because I want to test them out and then see the results, if you will. So I do, whenever I write something, and I was like, this is a very rough draft, I will kind of feed into the AI and I was like, rewrite, and then see if they do a better job than me or not. And of course, a lot of time they do. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they don't. So you were talking about building like an outline for your presentation using AI. Interesting enough, I don't have a huge success on that. I guess that just because the way I think about how I want to speak and how I want to do the opening and also ending. And I usually give a lot of thoughts about the opening and the ending. And I have tried to use AI to come up with the opening and ending. It tend to be very dull, if you will. So I have not had a huge success using that. And the other thing I use is there is a tool. I'm not here to promoting any tools, and I'm not affiliated with them. It's called Opus Clip, and it's basically you can just enter the link of your YouTube or just any kind of TikTok link. It will do a shorts for you. And I know there are other tools out there can do exactly the same thing. And so I've been using Opus Clip, just want to see if AI can do a bunch of shorts for me based on my long form content. And I can tell you the results are mixed. And they will usually give me probably about 7 to 12 shorts examples. And it still requires humans editing to make sure that it's very professional.
Yeah, I've heard some good things about Opus Clip and getting those
Yes.
shorts out there, because I think the short form content, that's been very good for us. We
Yeah.
use Descript. I still do the edits on the main video for the podcast in Premiere, but once I've got a finished edit, I can put that into Descript, and that generates the transcript for me.
Yep.
They're billing that as AI. I don't know if transcription software is truly AI. But the thing that I like about Descript is that you can ask it to write some social posts about that content. You can ask it different questions about it. But also you can apply those templates, the short form video templates to it, and that takes multicam output like what we're doing here with Ecamm, and do the camera changes. So it does save time, but I think you do have to be discerning on what it is that you're putting out there, and trying to put a really juicy short form clip, a really great salient point. ChatGPT or Claude?
ChatGPT. Actually, by the way, I know he's lighting. I also like Claude.
Well, Mike Stelzner, he swears by Claude. He told me all about Claude, and I've been using that too. So
I'm using both interchangeably. Like, for example, easy writing, I tend to go to ChatGPT. A little bit more complex writing, I tend to go to Claude. So I use it a little bit differently.
yeah, one thing that Claude did for me once, I was going to do a webinar, and I wanted to know what industries the folks were in, because I didn't have a lot of data handy other than just the email addresses.
Yeah.
So I had it strip out the domain names of the companies, and I just asked it, I said, tell me what industry each of these companies is. And I created a chart showing all of the industries that were going to be, and the percentage of audience that were trade accounts.
It figures out. That's amazing.
Yeah, and it did it with very little effort. I mean, it was maybe the whole thing ran in less than 60 seconds. So, but I tried to do it in ChatGPT, and it wouldn't do it. And
it's interesting. There's a tool I'm using called Magi. It's MAGAI.
Yes, I've heard of it. Yeah.
So they actually they put all the LLMs into kind of like the friend, which is the friend user interface, and you can choose which one you want to use. You want to use Gemini, use Facebook's Llama, you want to use Claude, you want to use say ChatGPT. You can choose which one you want to use, and then you can enter your prompts, and then you can see what they come up with. So I've been using Magi, which is MAGAI, and then just tested, because they build a user interface already, and that you can access basically any different, large language models. And I just try a different LLM and see what kind of results that I get.
Yeah, we've got to leave a link to that in the description for the show. That's a good one. What about podcasts? What's the best AI podcast for marketers?
The Mekong, which is the Marketing AI Institute, and by Paul Rotzer, is tend to be pretty good, and they did a fantastic job from my perspective. Yeah.
Great. Will AI be more transformative than the printing press?
Oh, totally. Well, I think printing press was very transformative at that time, and but AI. Look at AI is in everything we do, right? I mean, it's literally in our lives, right? You buy something on Amazon, there's a recommendation coming to you. You listen to a music, and there's a Spotify will tell you and what else you should listen. When you drive, Waze is tell you which route to take. And my husband listens, actually search online, and then and say, oh yeah, you know what, Google said, or the recommendation said we should go to that restaurant. So I think it's definitely very expansive, and also that weave into our daily lives more than we think and realize.
Mm. Should I use AI, an artificial video presenter, or film myself?
I don't know. What do you think, Gary? I am still I don't know. I'm still very attached to human. Like a lot of people use, avatar or this synthetic type of figure. Gary, can you imagine like moving forward, like 2 years down the road? It doesn't have to be 10. Like when we have an interview, like we don't interview each other. It's actually AI. Gary's AI talking to Pam's AI.
Oh no. Well, maybe it would be a little bit better looking. Maybe take 5-10 pounds off. I mean, that's the draw for me.
Gary, you look fabulous. I wouldn't worry about it.
Oh, thank you.
Seriously.
It's such a transformative time, and it really feels like in real time that everything is changing all at once.
Yeah.
What's your prediction for how AI will transform marketing in 2034, in the next 10 years?
Oh my God. I hate prediction, Gary. You put me on the hot seat. It really depends on, like OpenAI, they were talking about to develop like a humanoid, like a physical form of robots, not just like this software embedded into your computer or your mobile devices. And that there is a humanoid, but that do marketing functions. It's not just like, okay, they are doing the daily tasks, but they actually can perform marketing functions like a physical form. That is something I feel it's going to change marketing forever. But if it's just still part of embedded into kind of computer or the devices, it's basically software, right? If they are just software inside, and there are things they can do for us, but they don't have a physical form like you and me to take over, to manually move things from one place to another. And that means the AI's contribution to marketing is still very limited.
Yeah.
But if there's a physical form, then that's a completely different story and conversation.
Another conversation. Pam, as a fellow marketer and AI curious person, I'm feeling less anxious about using it in my business. Tell our audience where they can learn more about you and where they can reach out to work with you in some way.
Great. PamDidner.com if you are interested in terms of the services I offer. And PamDidner.com is a great place to get to know me. And I'm also very active on all social media channels, like Gary indicated. So connect with me on LinkedIn, YouTube. I have a YouTube channel if you want to subscribe to learn more about B2B marketing. And I'm also active on TikTok.
Awesome stuff. Pam, thanks very much for your generous responses to those questions, and thanks for taking time out to come on Small Business Matters.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, that brings us to the end of today's episode. For any resources mentioned on the show today, visit our show notes over at Experian.com/SMB Matters, and be sure to subscribe to our blog for articles and tips to improve your business credit. And if you're new to the show, be sure to follow us. And if you love it, let your friends know or tag us on Instagram. We are at ExperianBIS, #SMB Matters. Drop us an honest review and rating on whichever platform you're listening on. And if small businesses matter to you, shop local or reward them with your business online. We'll catch you on the next episode of the Small Business Matters podcast.